And we are live. Welcome back to another episode of the Football Philosophy Podcast. My name is Abdi, and with me today are two huge United fans. And today we are just going to be talking about the Premier League week. Talk about the issues going on at certain clubs. I don't want to talk about United right now because I can see already depressed faces in front of me. Yes, yours truly, Trey. Welcome to the show, bro. What are you saying? You good?
Yes, I'm all good. I'm all good. Obviously, we've got a situation that we need to talk about. So that's why we had to bring in our special guest. As always, I call him Bestie. What are you saying, Best? Nathan Best.
Yeah, man. Obviously, the situation at Norwich City where they've sat their manager is really, really bad. We don't have to go on. It's sort of depressing, it's made us cry the fact that Daniel Farker's gone, but
I mean, as the title says of this video, it's sacking season. So far this season, we have seen more sackings than the entire of whole of last season. Completely, there's
Wow,
been more sackings, and we've only had 11 games.
that's crazy.
Now, the theme of this podcast is going to be set around coach that should be maybe sacked. That's the biggest surprise so far. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still at the helm at Man United. Obviously, Ole is still at the wheel. We're going to be talking about that. We are also going to be talking about West Ham's phenomenal, amazing victory against Liverpool and how good are the Hammers right now. Could they actually be challenging for the Premier League title? You never know. You never know, man. And obviously, Chelsea drawing 1-1 at home against Burnley. That was a bit of a shocker, if I have to say.
Yep.
Aston Villa losing again, which meant Dean Smith losing his job. Norwich City winning, which means Daniel Farker loses his job. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer loses, and he still keeps his job. Guys, there's only one place for us to start with, and that's the fact that United obviously lost at home against Man City. City dominated Man United in every aspect of that game. Possession, they were just toying with Man United. So let's start with that. Nathan, what was your overall? What is your verdict on the derby game that we have seen? If you can even call that derby game.
Well, that was a nice training session for Man City. I think, they executed their training drill quite well, passed it round, kept the ball, kept the ball, kept the ball. But see, the thing is, it's like usually Solskjaer traditionally has had a sort of a decent record against Guardiola because he's set up. Like people talk about, United shouldn't be setting up a counter attack at home and stuff like that. United's best results have come by setting up, pinning on a counter attack. I did think before the game though how it was going to plan out because like the key to say Solskjaer having a good record and the counter-attacking situation was, do you remember like the likes of Daniel James was always key in these games as well? And I'm not saying Daniel James would have made a difference because tactically it seemed United had just set up really, really poorly this season. If anything, I think that was worse than the Liverpool game because I think City, the fact that majority of that game, it's men against the boys. And it's not just in the City games, it's not just in the Liverpool game, it's also in where if teams turn up to Old Trafford with a decent setup, it just throws the team off completely. There's no plan, there's no sort of, so even back in the days of Mourinho, say if his like defensive football weren't coming off, he would just go, lump it to Fellaini and some get a nick on. At least it was it was a shit plan, but it was a plan nonetheless. You lump it upfield to Fellaini, but to be honest, if I ask you two, did any of you two expect anything less of what had happened on Saturday? Because to be honest, going into that game, I literally just went, it's either going to go one or two ways again. Same as the Liverpool one. You get a scrappy win, or you get absolutely done over all over the park. And Liverpool are a team that they'll go consistently going at you. City are more sort of, it seemed as though City showed United mercy sort of thing. That could have easily been 4 or 5. De Gea, for me though, the second goal, I have sympathy with De Gea because I don't think he expected Luke Shaw to do what he did because that was the worst piece of defending I've seen this season. He's literally he saw Bernardo, he's actually looked at Bernardo Silva and he's gone, yeah, it's going to go out. And it's like, no, it's not. And then De Gea is obviously, I think he's kind of maybe caught by surprise that he's managed to get the shot back in, hence why it's gone in. But I don't know, it's just one after another, and it's just like, he's going to be in charge for Watford. I don't see the board like getting rid of him at any point. So yeah.
Okay, we're gonna come back to that point, and obviously the second goal, was it Luke Shaw's fault? Was it De Gea's fault? Was it Maguire's fault? We're gonna get into all of that in a bit. But Trey, Nathan asked a good question. He said, "Did you guys expect anything else? Like honestly, what was your expectation going into the game?"
You know what? Like any other fan, of course, you would think, because it's a derby, we might be able to sort of scrape a result, like what Nathan said. But even though the game ended 2-0, it felt like another 5-0, if I'm honest with you, in terms of the domination. The team just lacked direction. The team just lacked heart. They lacked spirit. Something was just off, of course. And we've been feeling like this as fans for quite some time now. And it's a weird one. It's on the board. Can't the board see what's going on? Like, in terms of the energy in the obviously, when you're at Old Trafford, we're obviously the sort of fans that we're not going to be booing Solskjaer off. That's not what we do. We're not going. That's not what we do.
There is a protest happening on Saturday for Oli out. It's gonna be happening.
Yeah, there's going to be protests, but I'm saying in terms of at the stadium.
I think it's getting to that point now where the stadium will actually become a bit toxic, like sort of like Wenger, end of Wenger's years. We could
it started the weekend as well. It started the weekend as well. I've seen a couple of videos where there are boos around and stuff like that when Solskjaer was walking off, but I don't know whether, because sometimes if that's the case, like people could fit the narrative of the booing Solskjaer, they might just be booing the team, because like I think I said on last week, I said on the podcast after the Liverpool game that like ultimately it will fall down to the manager, but like these players as well are making mistakes that surely you as a coach you can't, like, so it's like sort of like you can't teach an old dog new tricks sort of scenario where it's like it is Solskjaer's fault for trusting these players, but also these players are like severely letting him down as well. It's like I said, like with the Shaw situation, Maguire looks as though his head's back in Greece. Do you know what I mean? Like, so
he needs to go to jail after this season's performances.
Yeah, not for the violence in Greece, but like for the performances. You know what I mean? But
no, not even Manchester ones. No, I want him to go to a jail in Greece.
But like,
if you can send him somewhere to Panama, prison break style.
But
I'm done with him. But guys, let's talk about this year. I want to understand. Obviously, we're gonna digest how the goals were conceded. You look at the cross, for example, the first goal, the cross from Cancelo, fantastic, amazing cross, but it has to be dealt with. The fullback has to stop that cross. And one thing that City do better than anyone else in this league or even in the whole world is the way they cross the ball. They cross with precise. They know exactly what they do when they cross that ball. Every single player knows exactly what he's doing, whether it's Foden, Sterling, even Jesus, who is a striker, number 9. This is he's playing on the right. The crosses that he's delivering is always with purpose. Every single move is done with purpose. But I've watched the way Crystal Palace played against them, for example. I've watched against PSG. What they've done so well is they've dealt with the crosses, these teams. As soon as a cross comes, whether it is a low cross or a high cross, it doesn't matter. They've dealt with it. The centre-backs took, charge of the situation and they dealt with it. Eric Bailly should be ahead. Lindelof should be ahead of that ball before it even gets crossed. I'm surprised that they even didn't score with more goals. Obviously, if it wasn't for De Gea saving United so many times, this game could have been just like Liverpool, 5, 6, 7, whatever it could have been. And then you look at the second goal, shocking, obviously, is absolutely shocking. But let's say the team obviously went down 2-0. The belief then goes away from them. It goes out of them, completely gone. And it's like they've accepted that second half performance was to me a team that accepted defeat. That said, this team is better than us. As long as it's not a 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, let's just take the 2-0 and go away. Everybody's going to come out on social media. They're going to be vowing they're going to do better next time. They're sorry for their fans, blah blah blah. All of that, normal shit that they do. What it comes down to, what I want to know is has mediocrity been accepted by the board? Is that having a feeling towards the players? Because now they're thinking like, if the coach's job is safe after losing a Europa League final, after having a disastrous start to the season because you lost 5-0 to Liverpool, if his job is still safe, then what are the standards? Because if you lose a Europa League final, you should lose your job. That's what I believe. After not having won a trophy for 3-4 years, that's when you should go. Mediocrity becomes accepted, and then the players on the pitch then accept losing 2-0 to the neighbors, the noisy neighbors. I don't know what you guys think.
I think you're right, but I think I still think he deserved or sort of warranted the third season based on the progress of the second one. I know you said about cup final and stuff like that, but you think to yourself that still wasn't, he's in a way it still wasn't his team, but now that this season is. But I think mediocrity has been sinking into the club ever since Fergie left, because you got to think, right, the contracts the players have received, the likes of, say, I'll go back to Luke. Luke Shaw is the highest paid fullback in world football. Right.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, he earns £195,000 a week. He's the highest paid fullback in world football. Right.
Wow.
Across the other side of across the M62, the same person in his position, Andy Robertson, is far better than him, probably earning about 80k less, playing for a club that has been on the rise for the past few years. Even look at City. I know City spend big on players, but their wage structure isn't as big as, say, United in terms of how much they pay players. You know what I mean? I think they have a bit of a cap or sort of limit as well on how much they pay players. But it's like, say like Luke Shaw, those players who are earning big money, they get comfortable. It's like when it's like Pogba's holding out for 500 grand a week. Pogba does not deserve 500 grand a week. He doesn't deserve to play for the football club, to be honest, with the way he's treated over the past 3 or 4 years. You got the board standards are literally the same as what Arsenal's owners are. Qualify for top 4, qualify, get that Champions League money. But like you said before, it's like days of Wenger. Yeah, you get top 4, the board are happy, and it's like that. The board have gradually lowered the expectations of the club. It's then seek to the players who got comfortable, the ones who sort of play well for a new contract, get the new contract, and be like, "Yep, I'm definitely not going to be out of the team." This, that, and the other. Because you got to think, right? This isn't a gender against Luke Shaw. I'm just bringing up again an example. When Luke Shaw had his first bit of competition, do you remember it was Brandon Williams? Brandon Williams kicked him out the side, right?
Yes.
And Brandon Williams was academy products. They earned, say, like 30k a week. When Tellez came in, Luke Shaw really, really stepped up his game, because Tellez was highly coveted when he came from Porto.
Yes.
And now Luke Shaw's had that one season in about 6. He's got comfortable, but like you said, it's like a succession of like the board management, then players. Everyone is just comfortable. No one's gone in there over the past 8 years and really got grabbed them by the scruff of the neck. Gone, right, no. If you have one bad performance, you're out for 5 games, or you're sold or whatnot. But yeah, I think it's a succession of things, to be honest. I think it starts with the board, filters to the management, then it goes to the players, and then that just creates a really toxic environment for what you literally can't deal with, to be honest. That's my view.
It's an absolute mess. I mean, Trey, what's the solution here? How do United go forward from this? Because how this man is still in the job is, even at this board's level of incompetence, is still shocking to me.
Let me just put it in this way. So, if you look at the top 10 football clubs as brands, Manchester United are still third. So that tells you that in terms of the revenue that they're bringing off the pitch, shirt sales, commercial partnerships, etc., is still very lucrative in terms of what's going on social media, etc. So I think what's going on in the board meeting is they're sitting down with the marketing team, they're sitting down with the commercial directors, they're sitting down going through all these numbers, and it looks great on the outside, but on the pitch, clearly there's a big issue here. So for me, it's just simply the board lack ambition. If we had, let's say, owners like Abramovich, or just owners that actually give a about the football on the pitch, Oli probably would have left after the Europa League final. But the only problem is what we think they're doing absolutely the opposite. So when he should have left, they obviously extended his contract. When obviously he wanted some players, they gave him Sancho, they gave him Varane, and they've also hijacked a deal to bring in Ronaldo to the club as well. So yes, the squad is actually so much better than how it was last year. So I agree. Look,
Why?
Oli has been given the time,
Yeah.
and I just feel that he's reached a point right now where there's no excuses anymore. As much as
Why
we're,
did
but
it
as
take
much,
so long to make the decision to make a change? Because if you look at David Moyes' first season, they didn't sack him until it was mathematically impossible for him to get top four. Louis van Gaal wasn't sacked until after he won the FA Cup, and they knew that he wouldn't get Champions League football. Even though in January they were talking to Mourinho after he lost the Chelsea job, and you're thinking like, why not change managers mid-season when there's actually a chance to get something out of the season. Mourinho was sacked, but it was still too late to get top four at the time. So it's like, why wait so long to make a decision when you can be proactive? Like you look at Aston Villa, for example. Let me give you an example. Yeah, you look at Villa this season. They've beaten United, but they haven't won 5 games after that. 5 games it took them to say, Dean Smith, you're not the man to take this club to the next level. And he's a boyhood Aston Villa fan. Think about that. And they changed him. And he comes out, he admits, he says, I've come into this club and I left it in a place where it's better than when I came in. And he goes, his head held high. I'm not expecting Oli to do the same thing because of, I don't know, pride maybe, but I would expect at least the board to have some sort of expectation of what they want to be. If a club like Aston Villa has expectations, has ambitions of what they want to be,
but yeah,
like
you already know that with the club itself, Manchester United is not a football club for the board. Manchester United is a business, and what Manchester United do for the board is they generate the money through signing
yeah, but
Ronaldo.
think about it.
So,
Like right now, if they were to change this manager and bring in a manager that's gonna get them Champions League football or European, I mean, winning the European competition or challenging for the Premier League title, that's gonna give them more of a chance to make more money. It's like it's just win
I
situation.
I think it is though, like you- there's aspects of what both of you are saying. I think I think the board have also looked at it and gone, well, they've gone down the whole
exactly.
get the whole world class manager in route who's won European trophies, this, that, and the other, and it's obviously not gone well. Now they went a different route to sort of really go like back to basics sort of thing. But I also think now with them, like they're too scared to make a decision because out of all the managers that have come since Fergie, obviously Moyes was just like a write off after the first season sort of thing. But take Jose and Van Gaal. Jose and Van Gaal, probably more Jose than Van Gaal. Jose probably warranted, say, the money that they've given to Solskjaer based on his reputation. Do you know what I mean? So they backed an unproven manager more than the two elite European coaches. However, I'm also thinking now that what they might do is, because the next game's Watford, right? And Watford, to be fair, they gave Arsenal a pretty good game as well at the Emirates. They beat Everton 5-2, from like 2-0 down with like 10 minutes ago, whatever it was. I think they might leave it to the case where like they're going to allow it to naturally sort of fester. Say if things do go badly, to which the fans then turn on Solskjaer then it makes an easy decision for them. Because like I think if they get rid of him now, there are still facets of the crowd and this, that, and the other that are still supporting Solskjaer, and so they still have that respect for him. But I think they're going to let him sort of fester in a way, and if it goes worse, he eventually tarnishes his own legacy to a point where the board are like, they get rid of him, then they get in a new manager, and everyone's like, oh, happy and this, that, and the other. Then it's going to look good on the board because they made that executive decision, but it's going to be then too late. It's like how they let Mourinho fester on, to the point, because there were still people like, towards the last couple of months of Mourinho's reign were like, it's the board, this, that, and the other. Then when Mourinho was sacked, it came to a point where everyone was like, everyone against Mourinho. Do you know what I mean? They'll let it build and build and build until it's like majority of the crowd are against Solskjaer. Because there are people who've been like staunch supporters of him that have now just like completely flipped. And once you get that majority, it makes it an easy decision for the board. That means it's less of a PR headache for them. And not only that as well, it's a case of for them, it's always a purely financial decision. Like the quotes coming out today is, they're still trusting him, they're still trusting them. The reason why is because they're too scared to pull the plug on the guy, on the unproven manager that they've initially backed. They don't have any clarity.
Yeah, they want to be proven right. They want to be, they want to be proven right because they backed him more than, like you said, more than the two most experienced managers since Alex Ferguson was in charge for us. Let's say David Moyes was still in charge of United. Where will United be right now, Trey? Because you look at where he is now, he's above United.
Yeah, but obviously, look, it's a completely different dynamics. When Moyes came into Manchester United, we had Rio Ferdinand, we had Patrice Evra, we had Premier League champions. So can you imagine Premier League champions going from Ferguson to Moyes? Moyes hasn't actually he didn't win anything for Everton. He was there for a long time.
Yeah.
He got them stable, but he didn't actually win anything. So imagine him coming into the club. The players didn't have any respect for him at the end of the day. So his job at West Ham right now is deserved because he's a Premier League experienced manager, knows what he's doing, he knows his way around certain things, he knows what players to sign, and he knows how to build teams. So West Ham's a perfect platform for him. So I think with the Manchester United role, the reason why it's normally so difficult because of what it stands for. It's such a big job, man.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Yeah, because the reason why I'm asking this question, Trey, is because I get annoyed on Twitter. Like I look at Twitter and it's like, look at Moyes doing better than Oli. Oh, they should have backed Moyes more than they backed Oli, or Van Gaal or Mourinho. Why was he sacked after his not even 6-7 months into the job? I want you guys to put that argument into bed for these idiots that are, mouthing this nonsense at all, man. So,
Moyes suits a club that's like he can build organically. You can't build Man United since it's already built. Like Everton, he raised the he raised your expectations there of say competing for Europe and this, that, and the other. At West Ham, he's doing the same. I think that is his level, and that's no disrespect to him, but it's like in terms of what he's done this season at West Ham, he probably is at the minute manager of the season. However, if you're say when Klopp goes in 2024, or say if Pep leaves Man City, I don't think Moyes will be on the first name on the shortlist because he's at the level, but it's like he's at that level of West Ham, for a reason, but not for a bad reason. Like there are managers that just suit different clubs. Do you know what I mean? It's like that's not a bad thing. If anything, it's kind of more of an achievement. Say if West Ham qualify for Champions League football, and say City and say Man City with all their billions finish second, Moyes has got the same out of that West Ham squad that Pep's got with City squad because technically you've got the same thing and Moyes is spent less. So
yeah. No, I'm glad you guys said that because these people, they really annoy me, man. Okay, that's
Twitter,
actually
you already know Twitter is just sometimes a bit You
I
know,
know, man. No, it's an interesting segue now because that's how my next point was going to be about West Ham against Liverpool. Kurt Zuma with the final goal and the goal that turned out to be the winning goal. But let's talk about this game, guys. West Ham this season are playing unbelievable football. Can they? Are they in a title charge right now? Are they challenging for the Premier League title, or is it just top four or top five or top six?
they're
Top
qualifying
four.
for Europa.
I don't know because thing is I don't know because like I look at that team and I probably like you know how Leicester have been close a couple of seasons now for Champions League and that I look at that West Ham team and think you know they've probably got a bit more steel about them than Leicester.
Yeah.
I think they've got a bit more that sort of grittiness to get over the line and whatnot. You know, yeah, title charge. It's too early to say. You have to like. I think at the minute, I reckon at the minute they literally just sat there and they're just taking it a game at a time and see what happens. You know, I think that is the best way to do it. You know, if they end up say sixth again, so they can win the Carabao Cup easily. You
Yeah,
know, that'd be a
yeah.
good like top six Carabao Cup. You know, it's consistent progress. Or screw it, they can win the Europa League, get in the Champions League that way. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, Trey, last time someone said about, or people said about a club, oh, they don't have the squad depth. But you look at Leicester City, what they achieved that season. They had a similar squad, sort of like unproven players, gelled together. Um, Sort of like 8 to 9 regular players right now that West Ham have, an experienced manager in charge, the best midfield in the Premier League so far for me are the midfield pairing that they have in Suchek and Rice, and they have an English talisman up front, even though he plays for Jamaica, Michael Antonio, just like Jamie Vardy. Can they do it? Because they're everybody's favorite club right now.
Yeah, they're my local as well, man. Absolutely
Yeah.
love them, man. So, in regards to West Ham, I agree with Nathan. I think they're just going to take each game as it comes and just enjoy the ride, enjoy the moments. Because if you look at like sort of their squad, and if you look at who they've got in their squad as well, they've got a lot of sort of youth as well. But then at the same time, they've got players that are able to do a job, especially in midfield, like you mentioned, Suchek and Rice. Of course, Rice is obviously a player that Manchester United are looking at to play that sort of Carrick role in midfield, and he's doing a tremendous job. He's doing a tremendous job. I think
Yeah.
they are very exciting to watch. And imagine if, let me ask you guys a question. Imagine if Lingard was at the club.
I don't think he gets in that starting lineup to be honest now.
Ooh. Is it because he's been on the bench? But I'm just thinking, imagine if
Nah,
they
because here's the thing
signed
about
him before him coming back.
yeah, but it's like if you look at they've not really missed him. If you
Yeah.
think that they've not
Yeah.
really like if Lingard was such a like I'm not sort of doubting Lingard's sort of playing ability, but if Lingard was literally such a miss, like they'll be like 10th or 11th right now. They've not really.
But
They've
that's
not really,
because Ben Rama is stopped up this season.
yeah, exactly.
You
Like
know.
Jared
Yeah.
Bowen as well for me is criminally underrated. I don't know how
Mhm.
he's not in the England squad for me.
Yeah.
Like that's
He's very good. Let's talk about the goals that West Ham scored. Allison, what the hell happened to him?
yeah.
He must have been at fault for all 3 goals, right?
Well, I think the third one it was more Trent lost Zuma at the back post. He's completely done it. But like the first one, it was like obviously Klopp was complaining about a foul afterwards. It's like it's not a
Oh,
foul.
no way, that was fun. No
It's not
way.
a foul because the ruling is that like if Zuma jumps into Allison, then yeah, it's a foul. But do you remember that either a season or a couple of seasons back was it Calvert-Lewin on De Gea where it didn't get given as a foul, and
Yeah.
and that stalled, and Calvert-Lewin did more on De Gea than what Ogbonna did on Allison. But all Ogbonna did was just jump, and you've obviously when you jump, you got to use your arms for leverage. You can't jump like a fucking penguin. Do you know what I mean? So you can't do that and jump. So you have to jump, use your arm as leverage, and it's a perfect goal. The 4-0 shot was really, really poor from Allison as well. It was sort of, I think it's sort of like it just hit his arms, just go in, but West Ham
Yeah, I
deserved
should
to
have
win.
saved it, right? That second
Yeah.
goal.
And then the third one, it was just Trent losing his man. Trent's free kick, by the way, was fantastic. Like it's sort of you don't want to admit it, but it was a nice little laid back set piece, and he found the perfect gap, top
Yeah.
bin. Sometimes you have to sit there and go, do you know what? You might play for Liverpool, but fair play. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But,
no, that was a class goal. It was a class
yeah.
goal. Really, really classy finish as well. And Trent's got that in his locker, which is
Yeah.
great to see.
Yeah. I mean, West Ham, they've figured out how to beat Liverpool, which is through set pieces and counter attack. It's that easy. And
And then
United,
yeah.
if I come back to United again, Harry Maguire has scored 3 headers for England in the summer, right?
Yeah.
And apparently United have brought in a set piece coach, and they couldn't even score from a set piece against Liverpool. Come
That's
on,
the
man.
thing. Both Maguire and Shaw, since the Euros final, they're still hungover, man. They've not returned back the same since. I
Yeah, like
think
I said, the guy needs to go to jail, man. This is criminal. It's
even
criminal.
you look at Kane as well. Like he's not really good. So even a lot of the England players that started that final, not a lot of them have really started well this season. If you think
Only
about
Declan
it,
Rice to be honest. Like,
Declan Rice, yeah,
yeah.
Declan Rice. Yeah, even John Stones is not playing much.
not really, no.
Who's the other centre half for England? Was it 3?
Was it Walker?
Maguire,
Walker.
John, Walker as
Yeah.
well.
Kyle Walker is obviously just Kyle Walker being
Kyle
himself.
Walker's always been Kyle Walker, yeah. He's
Yeah. Obviously, Harry Kane. Yeah.
sure left back,
Sterling doesn't get into the City team right now.
yeah.
So yeah, there's a bit of an England hangover going on right now. So
Yeah, definitely. I noticed that.
I mean, look at the Italians; they haven't missed a beat, man. Like all of their players, just doing well, man. So
Smashing it.
yeah, let's talk about another game that actually happened, which was actually a bit of a surprise result. Chelsea playing against Burnley. Reece James continues his amazing form. That cross for me was just fantastic. Kai Havertz, obviously with the header, it was just beautiful, beautiful, man. How good is Reece James, and is he actually better than Trent Alexander-Arnold right now?
No, I don't. I think Trent's still the standard because of the standards he has set over the past couple of years. Obviously, there's a thing about how he apparently can't defend now, but I think this season and towards back in last season, I think his defensive abilities have actually improved. Walker still one that Southgate likes to go back to, and Kieran Trippier as well, because people often forget about Trippier when talking about the England right backs, because obviously, like, since he doesn't play in the Prem, he gets forgotten a bit. Do you know what I mean? But now Reece James has been in brilliant form. Like it's mad when you think like England have all these players at right, you can literally play right back, right wing back, stuff like that. But somehow every game he gets the balance wrong and who's pick. And it's like, it's mad. But no, Reece James has done well. I think Trent is still the standard. I think in this league. Anyway, him and Cancelo for me have like obviously different. That's not England. Like Cancelo, Trent, Reece James have probably been the best fullbacks this season.
Matty Cash just gave up and went to Poland. Yeah, he's playing for Poland.
I can see why Bissaka doing a similar thing with Congo as well. To be honest,
if I was Wan-Bissaka, I would wait. I would wait until Southgate leaves, because I'm sure he's going to leave after the World Cup. Because for me, Aaron Wan-Bissaka deserves to play for England, whether it is part of a 3 at the back or obviously as a right back.
Squad.
Yeah,
he should be in the squad. Like, look, no disrespect to Connor Cody, but come on, man. Like, what? Connor Cody over Wan-Bissaka as in a squad space?
Yeah,
it's mad.
Yeah. Okay, so so Chelsea, obviously they've scored that goal, and then the last minute, obviously Vidra equalizes. Is just a blip in form, or is it something to be concerned about, Troy?
Nah, it's just blip. I just think it's just one of those freak results. It happens, and it's the Premier League at the end of the day. I think that's why the Premier League is the most competitive league in the world, because there are games like that you would expect Chelsea to, wipe the floor with Burnley, but Burnley have obviously gone into that game thinking, look, we're We're not going to allow these guys to come and take us apart. And look, credit to them. They dug deep. They got the result, and a point for me is fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we talked about the sackings. Obviously, Steve Bruce got sacked. Eddie Howe comes into the Newcastle job. His team, well, the game finished 1-1, if I'm correct. Did they finish 1-1? Or yeah, they've equalized against
Yeah.
Brighton.
Yeah,
Obviously,
equalised.
Lewis
Yeah,
Dunk
1-1.
ended up. Yeah, Lewis Dunk ended up in goal. Sanchez just, yeah, I don't know what he was doing, what he was thinking there. Um, Newcastle, can he keep them up? And what does he need to do to get this team better? Because if you look at his record at Bournemouth, his team conceded an average of 60 goals in the Premier League. 60 goals in the Premier League. It's not a joke. And this team, yeah, with Eddie Howe, I mean, they're gonna have to outscore every opponent, right? In this, what does he need to do? Does he need to buy better defenders in the summer, or just go attack because that's his philosophy?
Well, say in the summer, probably January to be honest, because obviously they've
No, in January I meant, yeah.
yeah, because I
Yeah,
think with Eddie, I think Unai Emery was linked, and I think that would have been a more sort of assured bet because than Eddie Howe, because Eddie Howe's been out of the game for like well over a year now, and you don't know whether like in all respect to Steve Bruce, he like last season he had them set up like defensively well. Benitez had them set up defensively well. The
yeah,
appointment of Eddie Howe has sort of gone against them two previous appointments, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because they brought in a guy who's favoured attacking football, and this, that, and the other. And yeah, his record with Bournemouth was great until the last season when his team got found out. My worry is that how much like or who they signed in January. Because if they sign like approved like sort of proven players to really keep them up like very good quality players, then fair enough, they'll stay up. But if if they buy players from say like top end championship or mid end championship or say unknown talents here and there, I don't think they'll
yeah,
stay up. So it all depends on what happens in January. I mean,
Signings they make as
yeah,
well, innit?
yeah, I don't think Eddie Howe will be the long term Newcastle manager in terms of who they want to get in their like in when they're trying to compete for say Premier Leagues or Champions
yeah,
Leagues later on down
Yeah.
the line. I think he's a nice sort of starter man. It's similar to like Mark Hughes at Man City sort of thing. You know, that sort of manager, you know, you get them to a point, then the next man's going to come along, take them to a point, then the next man
yeah.
along, maybe reach that pinnacle, what they're hoping for. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Trey, what does he need to do? Does he need to buy specific defenders? Does he go for experience? Or does he just stick with his philosophy, which is to play attacking football? And if you look at the Bournemouth team right now, I mean, the Newcastle team right now, they have Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser and another guy that used to play for him, the left footed midfielder. Forgetting his name. Do you guys, he plays for Newcastle, the wicked left foot.
Oh,
He used to play for Bournemouth.
oh.
What is his name? But
What
yeah,
country is he from?
I think he's English. Yeah, I'm sure
Is
he's
it
English.
Murphy?
No, 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 not Murphy, not Murphy. Yeah, he's left-footed. But anyways, that's three ex-Bournemouth players that he's gonna
Yeah,
have in his squad.
yeah.
Does he need to buy more attacking players or go purely for defensive experienced players?
Regardless, anyway, with this Newcastle squad in January, he has to go for
Yeah,
experience at the end of the day. I think he needs to go and get those players that are not starting for, let's say, some of the top teams that they're playing for. So you're thinking about names of players that are, non-starters for
yeah,
like some of the top teams, but can come in and obviously do a job at Newcastle as well. So they're linked with quite a few names, man. They're linked with the likes of I saw what Lingard. I've seen the likes of Hazard being connected to the club. I've seen all crazy stuff, but regardless, I think what they need is they need to bring experience because at the moment the teams lacking that edge to actually do something, in the Premier League and stay up as well. It's going to be
Yeah,
a challenge. It's going to be a mammoth task for
yeah.
Eddie Howe, man. But it just all depends on who they sign and who he's backed with in the January window.
No, the
Yeah,
only
that
reason I'm saying, yeah, go on.
that player he was on about is Matt Ritchie. I yeah.
That Richie, yes,
That's him.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I definitely didn't search up the Newcastle squad to get that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can see the
Uh,
reflection from your
yeah,
glasses.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, Matt Ritchie, man. Yeah. So, I mean, what I would say to if I was advising Eddie Howe is to buy experienced players that can manage the game on their own. Because when you're up against it, because if you know, I was watching his interview on Sky, and he was talking about his time in Bournemouth and one went wrong, and he said he went against his ideas, his philosophy, which is to play attacking football. I just think that the best way to manage a team, especially a team like Newcastle, if you're not a defensive coach like let's say Sam Allardyce or Roy Hodgson, is to just buy players that would play attacking football, but then can manage the game on their own if they need to play defensive football. You see what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
just that. That's why it's important to have experience. So I would say to him, you need to build this squad like Blackburn of back in the days under Sam Allardyce. Have not obviously superstar players, not like ex superstars players. Go to Real Madrid and buy Salgado and what's the other one? The right back that they got from Blackburn, from Real Madrid, or
Oh,
even yeah, like
is it
yeah. I
not
want
Fernando Hierro? Is it not Hierro?
No, Hiero's at Bolton. Bolton had
Is
like
that
Hiero and
Bowen?
Bolton.
Bolton had
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yeah,
Bowen.
Bolton
Yes.
had like Hiero and Ivan Campos and like stuff like
Ivan
that.
Campos.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yuri, they
So
had
Yeah,
stuff
Yuri
like
yeah.
Yuri Chikayev as well from
Yes.
France
Oh,
winger.
well,
yeah, that's what I
Djurkaev.
was.
Yes,
Yeah,
Djurkaev. Ooh.
yeah, man. So that's what I would say, man. I mean, Lingard, for me, yeah, I can see Antonio Conte coming in for Lingard.
Spurs.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I
Whoa.
can see him shipping Dele Alli out of the club or Giovanni Lo Celso or one of them and bringing in Lingard.
Ooh. That's
Yeah.
that's an
So
interesting
that's an
one.
interesting segue actually because Antonio Conte played his first game in the Premier League and he finished the 0-0. What a dead game that was, man. The only interesting thing that happened in that game was the refereeing decision that went against Everton and the fans just they went from singing, against Benitez and stuff like that to just basically turning the attention to the referees and the officials. But Antonio Conte, yeah, what did you guys make of this game, man? Because it was just so dreadful to watch.
Uh, Admittedly, I didn't watch it, so I don't know exactly what
Yeah,
happened.
it was horrible. It was horrible. You didn't miss any. You didn't miss
No,
any goal.
you
All I
watch
saw
it.
was shots on target zero, shots on target zero, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm happy I might miss that. So,
Yeah,
You
Antonio
watch
Conte though. Like, what do you guys think of him in Tottenham? Like, can he take this team to the heights that they went under Pochettino, or can he go even higher than that and win them the Premier League, Champions League if given the time, or is he gonna change his expectations to just be a top four team, a top four coach?
I think obviously like, at the start of like Conte's managerial career, I think he managed some like sort of low end sort of like Serie B clubs and Serie A clubs and did well with them. And obviously now he's established his reputation at Chelsea, Inter Milan, Juve. Going to Tottenham is a step back, I think, for a manager of his talents. I think the club he's at probably suits more of Eddie Howe than Eddie Howe suits Newcastle in a way. Because I think like maybe with Spurs, obviously they want to get back to that sort of they want to be competing in Europe and stuff like that. But they've never ever competed like prop. I know they got to the Champions League final, but they've not won anything major in terms of
Yeah,
a league title since 1961. You know what I mean? Elvis was still alive back then when Tottenham won a league title.
oh my
So
god,
yeah, do you know what I mean? So I don't know with Spurs. It's just like they tried Mourinho, it didn't work. They tried Nuno, and now they've gone like for Conte. And obviously, Conte is a bit more far more adaptable with his tactics than Jose Nuno. But like, it's still from where they were under Poch, it's still like a step back in maybe philosophy than like we're going with Conte. But I think Conte would have suited United more than say Conte suited Spurs. That's what I'm saying.
Trey, Conte going to Spurs, will he improve them and make them a Premier League winning team? Or, yeah, which means United will regret losing him to Tottenham or not appointing him. Because you look at Klopp, when he went to Liverpool, United should have gone for him at that time, but they didn't. And he made Liverpool. If you remember Liverpool under Rodgers before Klopp came in, they went from almost winning the Premier League title to being a really average team that wouldn't even get into Champions League. And then he comes in, gets to the Europa League final, gets into Champions League final, then wins the Champions League final, then wins the Premier League. Is that what's going to happen here, or is Conte and Tottenham not going to work out simply?
Conte and Tottenham is a short-term fix for deeper issues that lie within Spurs. For me, Spurs, when you look at their squad, based on ability, they've got players that have ability. There is talented players, of course, but for me, it's the mindset of the players. I feel that Champions League final that they reached and lost. Imagine reaching the pinnacle of what you can reach in football and losing it. So they're still in recovery mode. I don't think they're fully recovered from that Champions League final. Going back to obviously your question about Conte, I think he's gonna stabilize the team. He might nick a cup within the 18 months because I believe he's only got 18 months, right?
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
he's gonna do that 18 months. He might nick a trophy, which is the European Conference League.
Yeah.
The funny thing about it is, look, a lot of people are gonna laugh when I say this, but it's facts. The European Conference League, yes, it's the first trophy, first like tournament announced this year, but it's still classed as a European trophy. It's third
Yeah.
tier, yes. So if Conte goes and wins the European Conference League, one, that will be a history maker for the club because that's their first European trophy, and two, that'll be one up on Arsenal as well because they haven't actually won a European trophy. So Spurs
That was
fans
the
will
first time.
Spurs fans will absolutely want that. They'll love that, man. So I think personally that will be a successful season for Spurs if they go and win the European Conference League, and that's
Yeah.
possible under Conte.
Yeah, but like them bragging that they won the European Conference League, it's like me bragging to my mate who has no money by shoving 10p in his face. That literally is the same thing. Like, oh, you have no money, I have 10p. Way, like it's not. You basically like with that trophy, it it's essentially the Nations League of European competition football. It
Really?
really is. Yeah,
No, I mean
because
the Nations League, I would regard it higher than the
no, in
conference.
terms of like stature, like you got the World Cup,
Yeah.
which is Champions League
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah,
level,
yeah, yeah,
Europa League, say the Euros. Although like the Euros, I do find more exciting than Europa League after watching Europa League for the past couple of years. But then you got the Conference League is like the Nations League. It's just UEFA adding more competition to spite themselves, and then now
yeah,
obviously they're kicking off that FIFA want to do a World Cup every 2 years, and it's like
yeah, yeah.
where's the like the line drawn on that? But no, I think Trey is sort of right though. It's like winning the Conference League stuff like that. Despite its sort of nudie history, it will provide like a platform. But I think ultimately, league decision is still the most. No, league position is still the most important. Keep it to Tottenham. Say if they like, it's not feasible. Like they could finish top four. It's not out of the realms possibility. With Conte there, but if they finish top four, but don't win the Conference League, I know which one you'd rather have. You'd rather have top one be in the Champions League than win the Conference League, to be honest. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
But I just can't help it. I just have this feeling that Conte is going to do absolutely incredible with this Tottenham team. I feel like he's going to take them to another step. I feel like he's going to win the Premier League. Obviously, not the Champions League, but I
Oh,
honestly,
Spurs?
that's what I believe. Yeah, I just
No
have that
way.
feeling.
No way. I've no
See, the
way.
thing is, what do you measure success for? Like,
Not this
here's
season,
the
not this season, but next season. I think he can win the Premier League.
No. Spurs?
That's how
No.
good.
No.
It's really important when you have the right coach. Obviously, if he gets backed, that's what I mean. If he gets backed in the right way in the summer, obviously the January transfer window, he needs to be backed. But in the summer, if he gets rid of like fringe players, weak players, mentally dead players like Giovanni Lo Celso, and he brings in his warriors like the Antonio Conte players. I like the lad Romero, very good defender. Get rid of Dyer. Get rid of players like Ben Davies who can't even head the ball. You know, he missed the cross to Ronaldo with the volley. Get rid of players like that, and you bring in warriors that would fight for you. I can see them doing really well,
I
but
think,
also I can see them going left. You know,
yeah,
yeah.
I think Trey left at the Conte winning the Premier League comment with Spurs. But I do agree. But there's like with him, I think he also needs to fix the Harry Kane situation as well because that one is going to be rumbling. Where it's like,
Yeah, he's back.
yeah, I think he needs to fix the Harry Kane situation because for me, if I'm Tottenham with his performances this season, I it wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility. Say if like in January you just say to Man City, look, 90 million, do you want Kane? Sort of thing. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like, sort of get rid of him,
Yeah.
then use that money plus whatever money Levy could give Conte and this, that, and the other to really, really go like full on in the transfer market.
Can I tell you guys? Can I tell you guys the one player that would suit Antonio Conte in the Premier League, like Drogba fitted Mourinho when he first started with Chelsea? Zapata from Atalanta,
Yeah, it would be perfect for
absolute
Spurs.
powerhouse.
Yeah, it would
Imagine
be
him
perfect.
coming to the Premier League, bro. It doesn't matter who it is. Maybe Van Dijk can deal with him, but I can't see any defender living with this guy. Just he will lead the line with Son, with Lingard, if potentially he gets Lingard. That's it. There you go. And he just play with three at the back with his two wing backs. Up front, Son and Zapata, Lingard behind them. That's your team. There you go. And that for me is a Premier League winning team.
Well, with Lingard as the number 10?
That's how highly I rate Lingard.
Wow, Lingardinho. He's
Mourinho,
quality. He's
Antonio
quality.
Conte would love him because Lingard has that engine in him, like sort of Nico Barella, and he has that vision. He has the shot. He has everything about him. He's got the luck. He's so unselfish. That's what I love about Lingard. So if he's in the right system, if he's under the right coach, if he has the right motivation, obviously, to want to do well, who's gonna stop him? I don't know, man. Yeah, Nathan's getting bored of Conte. I
No,
don't
no,
think
no, 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 no,
I
no,
don't think you
no,
guys are buying this. I don't think
no,
you
no,
guys are
no.
buying.
No, I
I think
get it. I get it.
I think with him, it's just a case of I think a lot of it will be down to Daniel Levy because I think with Levy, he's been very like when Pochettino was there, sort of delivering them like well, not obviously not delivering them trophies, but delivering them sort of like the best years they've had in the Premier League era. You know, he didn't give Pochettino money to spend for two successive summers in a row, and he managed to get to a Champions League final. Whereas Conte, we know in the past, has not dealt well with board or owners messing him around. Obviously, if you look at Chelsea's second season under him,
Yes.
didn't get Lukaku,
Yeah.
signed likes of Danny Drinkwater,
And
Emerson,
Morata
yeah, Zappacosta, sorry,
is a
uh,
Costa.
Zappacosta, and like at Inter, he left because of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fact that they were selling half his squad,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like So when he went to Spurs, I was like, so Conte, who likes money and sort of like spending money on like sort of transfer budgets and the other, you've gone to a guy who didn't give Pochettino like money to spend for 2 seasons running. So
Yeah, but I don't think he would be. You look at the summer. The reason why they disagreed about him joining, or the reason he didn't agree, is because of things like transfer spending wise. Now they've gone and realized, oh, we actually have to talk to him now. We actually have to agree with whatever he wants. So I don't think he would have agreed because Conte has a reputation to look after. I'm sure he has some sort of an agreement with Levy that he's going to get back to no matter what. In the January transfer window and the summer transfer window, obviously not to the level where they will give him players like Ronaldo and Varane. Not that they will want to go to Tottenham, but if they sell Kane and they can bring a Lautaro Martinez even higher than Lingard level.
I'm not gonna lie, yeah, and this may sound a bit controversial, but because he's on an 18-month contract,
Yeah.
he's not gonna have time to chop and screw the squad because this Spurs team, like let's be honest, man, they are not the best bunch, man. Let's really dig deep into
Yeah,
it.
defensively they're really bad.
It's not just defensively; it's their mindset. Like
Yeah.
it's a whole reprogramming that Conte has to do, and that's going to take more than a season. And then he has to obviously bring the players in, and then players have to go. I think the process is going to take longer than 18 months, man. And depending on what happens during that period of time, I think he can stabilize them. He can make them obviously get us higher than Arsenal because I think for like 5 seasons in a row now Spurs have been above Arsenal in the Premier League. So that can be a possibility, of course, but the European Conference League looks like the only sort of route that I could see. You know what? If he goes and wins that, then that could be sort of the stepping stone for maybe Levy to be like, you know what? He's bought in the first trophy. The fans
Yeah.
got to see a celebration. Now let's obviously back the man and do some more things because it seems like even though he's got the Spurs job, it seems like
Yeah.
it's a bit of a trial as well. It's 18 months, like for both parties. I think it's Conte obviously wants to see what he can do during that time, and then also Levy's also looking at it and saying, "Look, I've tried everyone. Now, if Conte can't do it, then
yeah, I reckon as well it sort of saves him compensation package because you got to think that like when Mourinho got sacked from Spurs, he was on a more lengthier contract than Conte is obviously like compensation wise. If it's an 18-month deal and after 12 months it's not worked out, 6 months left of the deal, despite what you're earning, is going to be far less compensation to get rid of the manager than say a
Yeah.
manager who signed a 4-year deal and sacked within a year. So
Yeah.
wow,
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's what Chelsea have done with Tuchel. Give him 18 months contract, see if it works out. If it doesn't, get rid of him easily. Yeah, that's the way. Listen, it can go either two ways. It can go really really good for Tottenham, or it can go really really bad. Like I mean, set on fire stuff because that's what Antonio Conte would do. He doesn't hide his feelings. He would say things as they are. He will talk to the press. He will put Levy every single thing out there. He will say to him, "You're not giving me money. What is this?" So it can go either way. So let's come back to this where we started at the beginning, which is talking about Oli still being in charge of United. Is obviously sacking season. So many coaches being sacked. He's still in charge. But hypothetically, if he was to be sacked, we talked about Zidane, we talked about Conte, who ended up in Spurs. Obviously, the Ajax manager, Eric Ten Hag, we talked about him. But there's one man that we haven't talked about. There's one man that I don't want to talk about. That's Brendan Rodgers. No mention of that guy. I don't want him coaching United.
no man,
But let's talk about Graham Potter. Would you
no,
guys take him at United?
no,
Nope.
no man.
No,
It's just,
no,
Nope.
oh
no.
no,
No. There
yeah,
is like
it's
it's
like a
like
laughing stock.
yeah, it's like there are sort of levels to it where it's like talk about Rodgers and whatnot, and Potter, but you still wouldn't want Rodgers.
Yeah.
Like,
No, the only reason I don't want Rodgers is because he spoke of ill about Sir Alex Ferguson, about United in the past, and I don't want that happening. I don't want someone who talked about Sir Alex Ferguson like that to be coaching my United, you know?
But it's like Graham Potter is like, again, it's like what I said earlier about levels, stuff like that. Like Graham Potter's done well at Brighton because, you know, it's an organic club you can build up. Same how Moyes has done with West Ham. At United, you need to be looking at people like Zidane or Ten Hag. You know, I know Ten Hag's managing in the Dutch league, but it's like Ajax are and still are one of the biggest clubs in European football. You know, their history sort of suggests that they've won more European Cups than United. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think a name that's been touted now is it Ralph Rangnick, who
Ralph Ragnick, yeah.
used to be manager of Leipzig, used to be the director of football there, and he's literally the reason why Leipzig are in the position they are now. You know, trying to compete for the Bundesliga, reaching Champions
I
League.
would bring him as interim manager, definitely. I would.
He's an interim, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, if you bring him as an interim and then say next summer you can go like to Ajax or I think it will be. I actually think it will be Ajax to go to because I think come 2022 when Deschamps probably inevitably like messes up with our France team because obviously Zidane's been like clamoring for that job. But you go next summer and you go right Ten Hag and Van der Sar just to go right.
I would get Ten Hag right now if he wanted to come to the club, but obviously I don't think he wants to leave Ajax because right now this season I think they're doing something really special again in Europe. So he's basically building a third team to compete in Europe because the team that went to the Europa League final and lost against Mourinho was then dismantled, and then he had to rebuild another team, got into the Champions League semi-final, and now this season they've scored Dortmund like home and away. They're scoring goals for fun. They've only conceded 4 goals all season long. I don't even want to think about how many United conceded so far. So I would definitely sort of like Ralph Ragnick would be sort of like goods hidden. You know, when he was going to Chelsea.
Yeah,
I think
he
manager.
was perfect at Chelsea because I swear he'd
Yeah,
won like
it would be like that for United.
he won like an FA Cup like once or twice. Then when he kept like going back to Chelsea.
Yeah, he was happy to be the interim guy, and Ragnick is just like that. He's happy to be interim so far until the end of the season, and then take sort of like director of football position. But that's where it goes wrong because they don't want him to be involved after that. So it's like it's so funny. But when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got appointed, I remember telling a few of my mates, saying to them like, why did they give him the job full time? Why not wait until the summer, give this man Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the director of football, and appoint a full-time manager, someone who's more experienced than him?
Well, I think that they were just in a position at the time where like they hadn't I think they waited. Like I think like I've been saying in our WhatsApp group is that like Pochettino is still the one I think they were clamoring for. They're still interested in Pochettino because obviously like the situation at PSG is probably a bit more sort of tenuous than say at Spurs. At Spurs, obviously he was untouchable until they had to make a decision to get rid of him. At PSG, if you don't do well in the Champions League, which is the one they want, you will be gone. So
yeah.
So I don't know.
For me, I'm never gonna lie. For me, if it was completely down to me, and if I was to pick a manager, this is probably never going to be likely because of the situation at the club that he's at right now. But because it's Manchester United, best in class, I would go for Ancelotti, man. I would have like when we lost the Europa League final. I'm saying at that point when we lost the Europa League final, and there was availability for Ancelotti to leave Everton at the time. That's when we should have taken him, in my opinion, because we our squad right now is ready in terms of competing for major trophies. I think that we can, with the right guidance, with the right system, with the right squad to do some madness here, man. So, look, in terms of availability right now, Ten Hag looks like the best option. If we could, because the issue at United is so much bigger than Oli, man. He's just a scapegoat, but I don't want to get into that. In December, obviously, Woodward's going to be leaving his position, so that position's available. Now, if we could bring in someone, possibly like a Van der Sar, let him go in, take that role, and then we bring in like a Ten Hag, for example, I could understand the link there because there will be a system that's going to be put into place. The CEO and obviously the manager is going to be aligned in terms of targets, and we can build from there. I don't know what you boys are saying from that.
Well, I'm Van der Beek will get game time as well, so.
Oh man, he would love it.
But
It'll be like Ajax all over again.
I slightly disagree on the whole squad. Like United have got a very good squad. I think I said this last time. United have got a very good squad, but there are gaping weaknesses where if you look at other teams that you're supposed to be competing with, there's hardly any gaping weaknesses where you go, yeah, that's going to affect the team. They have, say at Chelsea, maybe their centre back options aren't like the most elite. However, they work together well.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously City don't have a striker, well, a prolific one, yet they can find goals from other sources. United don't have a CDM, and the squad's so unbalanced.
But let me ask you this as well. What's the difference between Tuchel's Chelsea and Lampard's Chelsea in terms of the players in the squad? Because if you want to sort of look at the scope of it, Lampard was essentially in the same sort of position as Oli is right now. They made the change.
Yeah.
They brought in Tuchel, and it's funny how just a tweak of system, philosophy, and the system has obviously made Chelsea a better team. So me, in my opinion, I just feel like yes, you can argue that the players might not be as good as we say they are, but we're not going to know unless we have a proper manager that's in giving the players proper instructions, giving the players an actual system to work towards so we can actually build on performances. Because at the moment, we're relying on individuals at the moment. I can't even tell you a game where I could sort of look back and be like, you know what, we actually performed well in that game. Is there a time where we've actually performed well in a game?
I think the last time where I feel like United were in complete, absolute cruise control was Southampton 9-0.
That game, yeah.
I say Leeds 5-1, but that is down to also Leeds playing stupidly.
Playing style, yeah, it was
We
crazy.
didn't control that game. We didn't.
No.
It was a period of time where United scored like Leeds scored the equalizer, and then United just went 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, the 5-1, just like that, quickly, bang, 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 bang. That's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's career at Man United. If you look at the game against Villarreal, United got very lucky in the first half. That's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in a nutshell of his time at Man United. Getting lucky like he did in the first half, an individual moment like Telles and Bruno Fernandes, and another individual moment from Ronaldo, Lingard and Ronaldo linking up, and counter-attacking goals. That's it. There's no real dominance, and it's like he goes away from the things that work for him, like having a third man midfield run, from McTominay, from Fred, getting into the box, supporting the attackers, not just having a striker in the middle. And it's like, switching the ball from left to right, having 4 or 5 players behind or in between the lines, just exchanging, having some sort of a shape about you when you attack, having a shape when you're defending. The basic things just go out of the window with this coach. Really, really frustrating, man. So, anyways, I think we can all agree his time is up. I think if he was to resign today, he would be leaving the club in a better position than when he found it. It was a really toxic situation with Mourinho. We're gonna get into that point if he still stays in the club. So the best thing for him to do is to walk away from the club if he really. And I'm not saying if. I know he really cares about United. To to walk away with his head held high and let the next man come in, take over from him. And that man for me would be. It's not even a name that I was thinking about it 2 weeks ago, but it would just make sense. Rav Ragnick. That's
Yeah,
it.
interim role, isn't it?
Just as interim manager.
But what
And
do you think
then
of
in the
Zidane?
summer,
What do you honestly think of Zidane? That name's been popping up a few times in terms of him dealing with high-profile players, the style of football potentially that he could bring to the club, but obviously the issues of him not speaking
the
English. I
thing
think
with
that's a
Zidane
major
is,
thing as well.
yeah, I feel like he would come in and we would just be relying on individual moments again. Whereas if we bring someone as interim manager and we get Ten Hag come in the summer, that would make more sense because he's actually a coach that knows how to play football properly.
I think
But dealing
Zidane's.
with high-profile players is also a major factor for me as well,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
the that's the problem. That's the problem.
yeah.
Like I understand in terms of bringing in a philosophy, bringing in a style of football, having a system in place, etc. But I'm also thinking about Manchester United. The job, it's a tough job, not just not just for performances, but the pressures, dealing with high-profile players, the press, all of this. You have to consider all of these factors, man. And with other managers coming in and dealing with Ronaldo, Pogba. Like, what do you think about?
Let me tell you. Sorry. Yeah, go on, go on, go on.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, go ahead.
The reason why I like the Ajax manager is if his team doesn't play well and they still win, he would come out and he would criticize the team. He would say the things that went wrong, what could be done better the next game.
Mm,
Only if United win, he will just be coming out smiling. Oh yeah, all good.
mm,
Yeah, we win against Tottenham, and then go on to concede silly goal against Atalanta. Like two very silly goals. Maguire just watches Zapata going in front of him with no one marking him. It's like basic things. So he doesn't strive for perfection. He doesn't want excellence from his team, but the Ajax manager wants excellence. It doesn't matter who he is. He wants every player, every game for the team to have the perfect game,
mm, mm.
and that's what I like, man.
I'm hoping he has a good campaign with Ajax, man. So that could obviously, uh, put him in good stead for the role potentially in the
Yeah.
future.
Another reason that I want him to join United is because I can see him joining City after Pep.
Oh, serious?
Yeah.
How about Nagelsmann?
Huh?
Nagelsmann.
No, I think
In Bayern.
Nagelsmann's a.
No, he's
Uh,
settled. He's settled in Bayern, man. He's not
You
leaving.
reckon? You reckon he's going to be there for the duration?
Yeah, I mean, even after he leaves, he could be going to Real Madrid. I think he has his eyes set. Yeah, maybe in the Premier League, but yeah, he's settled in Bayern. But I think,
No, for the City job, no.
yeah,
After
sure,
Pep.
I'm not
See,
sure.
I
It's a
see
good shot,
City.
though.
City could go. They could go in a sort of weird alternative route because like they could go for the likes of say Luis Enrique or something like that because he's one that's still knocking about. Like maybe Enrique. Um, this is going to sound like a mad shout, but if in the next couple of years and he's still there,
Yeah,
Vieira at Palace
yeah,
could
I
be
can see
one.
that.
Yeah,
Oh
that
my days.
yeah.
Or Arteta if he does well, if he continues with Arsenal and still like because they've turned their season around from where they were. He looks like he's got it going at Arsenal. If he does well at Arsenal, he could literally replace Pep at City.
But
If not,
what is does well at Arsenal? What is it? What would you consider do well at Arsenal for him to warrant a place for a Manchester City job? This is the
I
team
I
that
I, I say getting back because here's the thing, right? They've got no European football this season, which could be an aid for them, right?
Yeah,
Do you remember when
yeah,
Liverpool qualified under Klopp? They
yeah,
had no
yes,
European football. Chelsea won the league on a Conte with no European football. So,
yes,
that could be an advantage to them. They've only got to rely on, only like cup competitions still in their league process. So if they
mm,
if it's not out of the realms of possibility that they finish top four, they're 3 points ahead of United, 3 points behind West Ham. You know, if he gets them back into the Champions League regularly over the next couple of seasons, wins a trophy or two, I don't think he'll be the favourite. He'll be in the conversation at least. You know,
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but I really rate the Ajax manager. Obviously, Trey's point, it makes sense. Zidane knows how to deal with world class players. Not that United have that many, anyways, but they do have Varane, Ronaldo, and Pogba and Bruno Fernandes. Those four for me are the only world class players, and he has worked with both of them, with two of these four players, with Ronaldo and Varane. He knows Pogba. Yeah, and Bruno Fernandes. Any manager would love to have him in their team. So yeah, I mean, I can see that happening. But regardless, I think all his time is up. I think we can all agree with that. Whether
Yeah,
the board
yeah,
agrees with that or not, that's a matter for another time.
yeah. No, of course, of course. Look, one thing that I just wanted to obviously put out there as well. We're not Ollie in or Ollie out. We're just supporters. We're lovers of the club, and we've just seen that the club have got to a point now where change is needed, and the short-term change, unfortunately, it has to go down to the manager because the squad that we've got now, I'm gonna keep repeating it. It's a much more better squad than the squad that we had last year, man. So I feel that we should be doing much more better than where we are now. Much more better.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Nathan, anything you want to add before we conclude? Any
Not,
interesting points from the weekend?
not really.
You
Sure.
know what stood up for me? You know what stood up for Why are you thinking about that?
Yeah.
I was watching the United City game, and the commentator said, "Oh, City enjoying the lion's share of the possession after literally 1 minute of the game. Like, I don't know, 58 seconds of the game." And he was talking about the possession, 58 seconds. And they just toyed and played with United and just passed and passed and passed.
Training, training football, man.
Yeah,
Those-
Trey, what stood out for
Uh,
you?
Oh, what stood out for me? What in the City game,
No, just in general.
Premier League? What stood out for me?
Vieira, Crystal Palace doing well, maybe.
Honestly, I would say that West Ham, West Ham getting
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that
yeah,
massive result against Liverpool. I feel that they're building a fortress at that stadium. Obviously, the Olympic Stadium, of course, London Stadium. They're doing bits right now.
yeah,
In terms of the stadium itself, it's so hard for like players to get that connection with the fans because they're so far away from the pitch. But
yeah.
they're building something there, man. And you know what? Who knows, man? Who knows? They could win Europa and make history. That would be tremendous, man.
Yeah, can you imagine the
Okay.
atmosphere? Like, you can imagine the atmosphere they scored with their club in a minute at Upton Park or the Berlin ground. That would be
That'd
rocking
be
every single.
mental. That would be
That
mental.
would be incredible, man.
That'd be incredible. Upton Park was such a historic stadium, and like the energy, the atmosphere was immense.
Yeah, Nathan, what stood out for you from the weekend?
Van der Beek's reaction when he came. The reaction for Van der Beek when he came on. You
Oh,
know, it was more like people were happy to see him, but it was more out of like ironic cheers, if like, "Oh, well done, you're actually playing the person with ability to play."
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, but
yeah,
other than that, nothing much. One thing I would like to Rio Ferdinand's comments about Ollie are pretty damning as well. He's finally come out and said about
Oh, yeah, in this podcast, yeah.
yeah, he said like it should be. I think it's time for Ollie sort of pass the baton on, and Gary
Yeah.
Neville's still defending Ollie, and it's like, look, mate, you can put sentiment aside and realise. Because here's the thing, right? If Solskjaer was in charge at Salford City, he would have been sacked ages ago. So by
Time
Neville,
ago.
so
Time
because
ago.
we said you said earlier about like, oh, Abramovich would have sacked him after the Europa League final. Abramovich would have sacked him after Newcastle away when United lost 1-0 thanks to Sean Longstaff's goal.
Yeah.
So
that was
Yeah.
just
yeah,
that was a
Yeah.
damning day. Yeah.
but yeah. No, so that's what's allowed for me. Van der Beek's sort of reaction when he came on. I was happy for him.
Yeah, Abramovich,
I was happy for Van der Beek because I'm not gonna lie, I was one of those people that I possibly questioned what he's doing at training and thought maybe is he gonna
Yeah,
be a good player? But then those few seconds that he came on and had a few touches, done a little roulette on someone as well. I was thinking like, oh my gosh, why didn't he just start him for this game? He should
yeah,
have just started him.
yeah, again, rewarding mediocrity. Average players keep getting games again and again. Yeah, and on that note, guys, we're going to be
Yeah.
finishing there. What
Uh,
an incredible weekend for teams like Crystal Palace, West Ham, Arsenal continuing amazing form, Burnley scoring a late equalizer, and City dominating United at Old Trafford. Really, really embarrassing stuff for the Red Devils. But yeah, guys, we're gonna leave it there. Obviously, we got the international break coming up. Hope you guys enjoy it
yeah.
as much as you can, because for me, I look forward to having a weekend where it's not ruined by United. Till next time, take care, guys.
take care.